Hamzah, the Lion of Allah. In Muslim history there are some extraordinary stories of how people have embraced Islam over the years. As Muslims, these stories encourage and inspire us to learn more and more about the history of Islam, especially in the early days when our Prophet, peace be upon him, was struggling to make its message known and heard. Learning about how others came to Islam allows us to pause and reflect on our own spiritual journey and to thank Almighty Allah for His great gift to us of being Muslims. Such stories of heroism and of spiritual searching help us to put into context our own poor efforts as servants of Allah. One of the most human of these stories is that of Hamzah ibn Abd al-Muttalib, the uncle of Prophet Muhammad. The story of his call to Islam is all the more amazing because it was not brought about by the reading of books, nor after hearing a beautiful sermon, nor after searching and pondering over the meaning of life. His return to Islam was a direct result of his very strong sense of family honor. First of all, though, we need to remind ourselves why we use the term return to Islam, rather than saying his conversion. As Muslims we believe that Islam is the natural religion of mankind and that it has existed since the beginning of time. We also believe that right at the start of human history, Almighty Allah gathered before him all the souls of everyone who would ever live on this earth. He then explained to them that there was no other God but He. As the natural religion of mankind, we believe that if individuals were left on their own in a pure state they would naturally believe in one God. We believe, therefore, that everyone is born into this world a Muslim, but that it is the action of others that makes him or her Christian or Jew or whatever. So, when someone changes his religion to become Muslim, he is not really converting to a new religion, but rather returning to the natural state into which he was born. This is why we say that Hamzah embraced Islam, rather than converted to it. Embracing Islam. The story is very simple. It happened like this. For 3 years Prophet Muhammad had spoken to only a few people about the revelations he had so far received from Angel Gabriel, and for a further 3 years he struggled against great odds to make the message known to the wider community in Makkah. For doing this he was vilified and ridiculed by the people of Makkah, who described him as a madman or a magician. Some Makkans were especially strong in leading this campaign against the Prophet and against Islam. One of these men was Abu Jahl. One day, Prophet Muhammad was walking at the foot of Mount As-Safa in Makkah when Abu Jahl met him. Abu Jahl began to hurl insults at him and to ridicule the message of the oneness of Allah that he was preaching. Some reports even say that he took a stone and hit Muhammad with it, causing his head to bleed. The Prophet did not respond to the taunts, and Abu Jahl moved to the Kaaba at the center of the town, where he boasted to his tribe's people of what he had done. It was just at this time that Hamzah was coming back from hunting. Hamzah was a brave man, very popular with the people of Makkah, and he used to love hunting. He came across the freed slave woman of Abdullah ibn Judin, who told him what had happened to his nephew. In a rage, Hamzah rushed off to the Kaaba to seek revenge on the one who had harmed a member of his family. Without saying a word he used his hunting bow to hit Abu Jahl, cutting his head. He then asked Abu Jahl how he dared to hurt his nephew, especially since he preached the very message that Hamzah believed in. Hamzah had never said these words before and they were a shock to everyone and set the two tribes in frenzy. Abu Jahl had to admit that he had offended Muhammad and deserved what he got. From that moment on, declaring before the people of Makkah that he believed in the message of his nephew, Muhammad, Hamzah was one of the Prophet's staunchest supporters and did everything he could to protect him. Hamzah was to go on to become known as Asadullah, the Lion of Allah. So strong was his defense of Islam and so great was he to become as one of its warriors.